When a sociopath meets a narcissist, something unusual happens. It's not love, not connection, and definitely not harmony. It is a silent collision of two personalities driven by ego, control, and emotional emptiness. To understand this dynamic through a Stoic lens, we must first see both characters clearly, without judgment, emotion, or bias, exactly as the Stoics would. A narcissist lives in a world built on admiration. They need validation, like a plant needs sunlight. Their entire sense of self is fragile, dependent on whether others view them as superior, special, or exceptional. They believe they deserve attention, respect, and praise simply for existing. Beneath their confident exterior is insecurity, so deep that any criticism feels like a threat to their identity. A sociopath, on the other hand, lives without emotional attachment or empathy. They don't need admiration. They need control. They see people as tools, objects to use, manipulate, and discard. They aren't driven by insecurity. They're driven by power. While the narcissist wants to be worshipped, the sociopath wants to dominate. Now bring these two personalities into the same space. Stoicism teaches us that conflict is born from desire and ego. So when two egos meet, one desperate for admiration and the other craving control, the result is an internal war disguised as a relationship, friendship, or partnership. At first, both may feel a spark, but not the spark of connection. It's the spark of opportunity. The narcissist sees someone who seems confident, mysterious, and strong. They feel drawn to the sociopath because the sociopath appears unaffected, unharmed by the narcissist's usual games. For a narcissist, this creates attraction and curiosity. Someone they can't easily impress becomes a target they want to conquer. The sociopath, however, sees something entirely different. They notice the narcissist's hunger for praise, their desperate need to be adored. To a sociopath, this is not attraction, it is leverage. It is a weakness they can exploit. They know exactly which words to say and which buttons to press because narcissists are predictable. Praise them and they melt, ignore them and they panic. In the beginning, the sociopath gives the narcissist a taste of admiration, but not too much, just enough to hook them. The narcissist interprets this as chemistry, destiny, or emotional intensity. They have no idea they are being studied, sized up, and mentally mapped like prey. Stoicism reminds us that the greatest suffering comes from misunderstanding what something truly is. If you treat a snake like a harmless pet, you get bitten. If you treat a storm like sunshine, you get swept away. And this is exactly what happens in this toxic pairing. Both individuals misread each other while believing they have the upper hand. As the interaction continues, the narcissist begins to feel threatened. Why? Because sociopaths don't give consistent attention. They don't flatter. They don't validate. They don't play along with the narcissist's self-worship. The narcissist starts to feel insecure, unimportant, and unstable. They can't understand why this person doesn't admire them. They begin to chase the sociopath, trying harder and harder to win approval. But a sociopath thrives in this phase. The more the narcissist chases, the more power the sociopath gains. Stoicism teaches that power often lies with the person who needs the least. And in this dynamic, the sociopath needs nothing, not validation, not affection, not emotional connection. This makes them immune to the narcissist's manipulation. Over time, the narcissist becomes frustrated, confused, even obsessed. They want to be seen, admired, and valued. But instead of admiration, the sociopath gives them silence, unpredictability, and coldness. This creates emotional chaos for the narcissist. They cannot stand being ignored. The sociopath, however, enjoys this chaos. It gives them control. It makes the narcissist more dependent, more reactive, more fragile. And once the sociopath knows they have full control, the balance shifts completely. They stop pretending. They stop flattering. The mask drops. This is when the narcissist finally notices the danger, but often too late. They realize they are not in a partnership. They are in a power battle they cannot win. A sociopath doesn't need emotional support, doesn't fear abandonment, and doesn't care about the narcissist's needs. This makes the narcissist powerless. Stoicism teaches us that you cannot control other people, only your response to them. But in this interaction, both individuals try to control each other, creating a cycle of manipulation and ego-driven conflict. Neither can truly connect because neither seeks a genuine bond. Each wants something from the other, admiration or dominance, and neither can give up their desires. So what happens when a sociopath meets a narcissist? Nothing healthy, nothing balanced. nothing real. Instead, it becomes a psychological battlefield where each tries to outmaneuver the other. The narcissist loses power, the sociopath loses interest, and the relationship collapses under the weight of ego. From a Stoic standpoint, the lesson is clear. Avoid people driven by ego, control, and emotional emptiness. You cannot find peace where there is no inner peace, and you cannot expect harmony between two minds built on manipulation. When the initial illusion fades, the relationship between a sociopath and a narcissist enters a darker stage. This is where the real power struggle begins, subtle, calculated, and emotionally draining. The sociopath and the narcissist both realize they are dealing with someone who does not play by the normal rules of emotional interaction, but instead of stepping back, both push forward, believing they can still outsmart the other. Stoicism teaches that conflicts intensify when desire and ego remain unchecked, and here, both are at their peak. The narcissist's first shift is emotional. They begin to feel unstable, even jealous, not because the sociopath gives attention elsewhere, but because the sociopath does not give attention at all. Narcissists need emotional fuel, known as narcissistic supply. It keeps their ego alive. But the sociopath's coldness creates a vacuum, and in that vacuum, the narcissist panics. They start demanding more attention, more validation, and more emotional engagement. The sociopath observes this with amusement, not stress. Unlike the narcissist, the sociopath has no emotional dependence. They do not crumble under pressure. They become more strategic. Stoicism reminds us that emotional detachment gives control, and the sociopath embodies this principle, but in a destructive way. Where Stoics detach to find inner peace, sociopaths detach to harm, manipulate, and dominate. As the narcissist becomes increasingly reactive, the sociopath becomes increasingly calculating. They provoke jealousy on purpose. They withdraw affection to create confusion. They offer small rewards, tiny moments of interest, only to pull them away again. This reinforcement pattern traps the narcissist psychologically. It keeps them hoping for more, chasing harder, and losing their stability. At this point, the narcissist begins to lose their identity. The confidence turns into insecurity. The arrogance turns into desperation. They feel unseen, unwanted, and unimportant. 3 feelings they cannot tolerate. To regain control, the narcissist may shift into attack mode. They criticize, manipulate, or try to devalue the sociopath. But this is where the narcissist always loses. A sociopath cannot be emotionally injured, guilted, or shamed. Their ego does not crack, because it was never built on insecurity in the first place. For the sociopath, the narcissist's attacks are simply information to use later. Stoicism teaches that emotional reactions reveal a person's weaknesses, and the sociopath sees these reactions as weapons. They learn what triggers the narcissist, what scares them, what pleases them, and what confuses them. And with this knowledge, the sociopath tightens their control. Eventually, the narcissist reaches breaking point. They realize that the attention they crave will never come. They cannot control the sociopath, cannot manipulate them, and cannot force admiration. Their entire psychological foundation cracks. This is the moment when the narcissist faces a painful truth. They have met someone who does not need them. For a narcissist, that is unbearable. Meanwhile, the sociopath gets bored. Once the narcissist is fully under their psychological control, the game loses excitement. Sociopaths crave challenge and stimulation. When the narcissist becomes predictable and emotionally fragile, they no longer hold value. The sociopath begins to detach completely. They withdraw emotionally, mentally, and sometimes physically. The narcissist feels this shift instantly. They sense abandonment, rejection, and failure. Instead of pulling away, they cling even harder. They try love bombing, begging, or creating drama to regain attention, but the sociopath's mind is already gone. The dynamic collapses because the sociopath no longer benefits from it, and the narcissist no longer has the strength to fight. This is where the relationship ends, quietly for the sociopath, painfully for the narcissist. The sociopath simply walks away unaffected. The narcissist is left in confusion, replaying every moment, trying to understand where they lost control. Stoicism teaches us that suffering comes from wanting reality to be different than it is. The narcissist suffers deeply because they cannot accept that they were never in control. In the final phase, the narcissist may try to return, to win, to prove they can regain power. But the sociopath has already moved on to new stimulation, new targets, new games. The narcissist becomes nothing more than a discarded chapter. The Stoic lesson here is powerful. You cannot build peace on unstable foundations, and you cannot expect stability from people ruled by ego and manipulation. The relationship between a sociopath and a narcissist is not a partnership. It is a prolonged psychological battle where both lose themselves, but only one walks away unscarred. After understanding the chaotic interaction between a sociopath and a narcissist, the real value lies in what you can learn from it. Stoicism is not about judging people. It's about recognizing reality clearly and acting wisely. The Stoics didn't waste time trying to change others. They focused on protecting their own mind, peace, and inner strength. That is exactly what Section 3 teaches: how to keep yourself safe from toxic personalities using Stoic principles. The first lesson is awareness. Seneca taught that to be wise is to see danger before it arrives. Sociopaths and narcissists both thrive on confusion. They manipulate by creating emotional fog, mixed signals, sudden changes, intense moments followed by cold silence. The moment you feel mentally foggy or emotionally unstable around someone, a Stoic would advise you to step back and examine the situation logically. Ask, is this peaceful? Is this rational? Is this strengthening my character? If the answer is no, you are already in dangerous territory. The second Stoic lesson is the power of boundaries. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that he could choose what he allowed into his mind. Sociopaths and narcissists both test boundaries. In fact, they don't respect them at all. They push, poke, and probe until they find a weakness. A Stoic response is firm, calm, and consistent resistance. Not emotional arguments, not explanations, just clear limits. You don't need to fight them. You only need to refuse to play. This deprives them of their favorite tool: control. The third lesson is emotional mastery. Epictetus famously said that no one can harm you unless you give them permission. Through your reactions, both narcissists and sociopaths feed on emotional energy: anger, fear, confusion, admiration, jealousy. If you can remain emotionally steady, they lose their power. Remaining calm does not mean tolerating abuse. It means refusing to let their chaos enter your inner world. A Stoic would walk away with dignity, not desperation. The fourth lesson is understanding what you can and cannot control. You cannot control what a manipulative person does. You cannot make a narcissist empathic or a sociopath genuine. Accepting this truth saves you years of suffering. The Stoic approach is simple. Control your decisions, not their behavior. Control your reaction, not their games. Control your path, not their plans. Once you accept this, you stop wasting energy trying to fix broken personalities. The fifth lesson is choosing peace over ego. Narcissists and sociopaths drag people into power struggles. They thrive on winning, dominating, or proving superiority. A Stoic rejects this entire battlefield. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if someone tries to pull you into a fight, step outside the arena. Your peace is worth more than their drama. You don't need to win. You only need to walk away stronger, wiser, and unbothered. The sixth lesson is recognizing red flags early. Stoicism emphasizes rational observation. If someone never apologizes, lacks empathy, plays mind games, or makes you doubt your reality, these are early signs of toxicity. Instead of trying to justify their behavior, a Stoic sees it as information. Information that protects them. Information that guides their next move. You cannot change someone's nature, but you can change your proximity to it. The seventh lesson is self-respect. Both sociopaths and narcissists look for people who doubt themselves. Stoicism teaches you to build your identity on virtues: courage, wisdom, discipline, integrity. When your sense of worth comes from within, manipulative people lose their grip on you. Your value is not something they give or take, it becomes unshakable. Finally, the most powerful Stoic lesson is this: you deserve relationships that nourish, not drain you. A sociopath-narcissist dynamic is a battlefield of egos, but your life does not have to be. Stoicism teaches you to seek people who bring peace, stability, honesty, and mutual respect. The world may be full of chaotic personalities, but you have the choice to rise above, to step away, and to protect your inner world like a fortress. In the end, the Stoic sees clearly. You cannot control who crosses your path, but you can absolutely control who stays in your life. And that decision is the difference between chaos and peace, confusion and clarity, suffering and strength.